Hello everyone. My name is Aljon, and together with my partner Kevin, we put together this infrastructure proposal for a medium-sized enterprise network modernization project. In this video, we're breaking down our full case study from the problem identified all the way to the solution we designed. Let's get into it. Here's the big picture. We were tasked with designing a server infrastructure for an organization with around 150 to 200 users. The goal was to give them a centralized authentication, secure file sharing, a proper backup system, and a better network security, all within a mid-range budget. The proposed solution is a virtualized on-premise deployment running Windows Server 2025 Standard Edition, built to support the organization for the next 3 years. Now, why did they need this in the first place? Let me walk you through their current state. And honestly, it's a setup you see more often than you think in growing organizations. First, no Active Directory. Every user was managing their own machines independently. No centralized login, no group policies, no single point of control. From an IT management standpoint, that is chaos. Second, decentralized file storage. Files are scattered across individual workstations, USB drives, or whatever is convenient. No access control, no version history. If one machine dies, that data's gone. Third, weak security controls. Without a domain environment, you can enforce password complexity, you can audit who accesses what, and you can segment access by role. The attack surface is wide open. And fourth, no disaster recovery, zero backup strategy, and that's not just an IT problem, that's a compliance risk, especially with data privacy regulations becoming stricter every year. And here's what makes this urgent. The organization is projected to grow within 3 years, so whatever we build needs to scale, not just patch the immediate gaps. With those problems defined, we mapped out the technical requirements, both functional and non-functional. On the functional side, we needed Active Directory domain services for centralized user management, file and storage services for structured data access, Hyper-V for virtualization, IIS for web services, and database hosting support. On the non-functional side, the system needs to be highly available, scalable, secure, reliable under load, and capable of backup and recovery. These requirements directly drove every hardware and software decision you will hear in Kevin's segment. So given all of that, what approach did we choose? A virtualized on-premise deployment running Windows Server 2025 Standard Edition. So here's our reasoning. On-premise gives the organization full control over their data and infrastructure. No dependency on a third-party cloud provider. Long-term, it's more cost-efficient than a cloud subscription at this scale. And with Hyper-V built into Windows Server Standard, you can run multiple virtual machines from a single physical host, which covers their current workload needs. Now, Standard Edition supports 2 licenses VMs per license. That's sufficient for now, and if their virtualization needs to grow, the upgrade path to Data Center Edition is straightforward. The trade-off is the upfront hardware investment and the need for in-house IT maintenance. But for a 150 to 800 or user organization, that's a very manageable commitment. So Kevin will now take you through the hardware, licensing, security architecture, and the full implementation plan.
Hello everyone, I'm Kevin Cal, and I'll be picking up where Aljon left off. So starting with the hardware we spec out for this deployment. So the server is a Dell PowerEdge R450, a 1U rack unit, enterprise grade with an Intel Xeon Silver 4310. So that's a 12-core processor paired with 64 gigabytes of RAM. So for the storage, we split it into two layers. The OS runs on a 2 SSD configured in RAID 1. So that's mirroring. So if even one drive fails, the OS keep running. So next, for the data storage, we have 4 HDDs in RAID 10. So that gives you both read performance and fault tolerance. So even if you lose one drive, you're still operational. Next, the supporting hardware includes a 3000 VA APC UPS for power backup, a UUI TI Uni FI 24 port managed switch for network connectivity, and a Fortinet FortiGate 40F firewall, and a Synology NAS for backup storage. So now, one important licensing note: Microsoft per core model requires a minimum of 16 cores to be licensed. So even if your physical CPU has fewer, RCN Silver has 12 cores. So we license for 16, and that's not optional. So that's a compliance requirement. We also need 200 user calls to give every user legal access to server services. So total bill of materials come out to approximately 1.24 million pesos. So that's a mid-range investment for a production grade setup. Next, so on security, we build layer architecture across three pillars. So that's the access control, access strategy, and compliance. So let's go to the access control. We're using role-based access control. So users only get access to their job requires. So network segmentation is handled by the FortiGate firewall. So and remote user connect through VPN. So clean and least privilege design. So backup strategy. So daily incremental backups and weekly full backups all going to Synology and AS on site. So it's not a fully offsite solution, but it's a major leap forward from having no backup system at all. Next, compliant-wise. So the entire design is aligned in CIS security benchmark and general data privacy policy principles. So that covers the organization against audit exposure and licensing penalties. So next, so the rollout is broken into 5 phases spanning 6 weeks in total. So week 1 is planning, so finalizing requirements and selecting vendors. So week 2 and 3 are procurement, ordering and receiving all hardware and software. Next, week 4 is installation. So physical server setup and network cabling. Next, the week 5 is configuration. This is where we deploy Active Directory, configure roles, set up group policies, and apply security settings. And for the week 6 is testing. So user acceptance testing, performance benchmarking, and security validation. So we also have some responsible teams for the system. So the responsible teams across the project are the IT infrastructure team, the network administrator, and the system administrator. Next, so we identified 3 key risks. So that is the hardware failure, the security breaches, and budget constraint. So for the hardware failure, so rated medium probability. So mitigation RAID arrays in both OS and data drives. So redundant power supplies and the UPS covered most single point of failure scenarios. So next, security breaches rated high impact. So mitigation, the firewall, VPN, RBAC, and CIS aligned policies significantly reduces the attack surface. So no system is zero risk, but this architecture is defensible. Next, the budget constraint. rated low risk. So the mid-range budget was designed with phase procurement in mind. So and there's room for vendor negotiation on hardware pricing. So for the last slide, so to wrap up everything up, so this proposal directly addresses all four of the original gaps. So Algen outlined activity directory for centralized management, structured file storage, delayed security stack, and a working backup and recovery system. It's built on Windows Server 2025 standard, properly licensed at 16 core plus 200 user calls, hardware redundant with RAIDs and UPS, and scope for 3-year growth. So all coming at a justified 1.24 million pesos. If you're an IT student or a system admin dealing with a similar modernization challenge, hopefully this gives a solid practical framework to reference. Thanks for watching.